For the latest film interviews, reviews, and everything making news in pop culture, subscribe to Film Companion now.
David Fincher's Mank is about the man most famous today for having written, or co-written if you want to believe that, Citizen Kane, which is one of the most famous legendary films of all time. And the most fascinating aspect of this film is how little it actually concerns itself with the making of Citizen Kane. Now you think this is going to be the movie of Herman Mankiewicz, that's Mank, the character played by Gary Oldman, battling it out with the boy wonder Orson Welles over the who wrote the screenplay of the movie, or maybe you're thinking it's about Herman, that's the Mank character battling his own inner demons and saying because he's a gambler, he's addicted to alcohol, he's got all these inner demons going on, and he's battling them in order to write the screenplay. But this is not that either. What I think the film is about is a crisis of conscience, rather two crises of conscience. The first one, I think, is Mank's disillusionment, gradual disillusionment with the dream factory that is Hollywood. He realizes that this is not as good a place as he thinks it is, as the facade that is presents itself to others. These portions have this feel of I sold my soul to the devil, that kind of a feel, and they suggest that the writing of Citizen Kane might have been some sort of exorcism for Mank. Because Citizen Kane is based on the devil incarnate, the publishing tycoon William Randolph Hearst, and that man was basically a yellow journalist, a muckraking yellow journalist. Mank's screenplay, written by David Fincher's father, Jack Fincher, late father, is a wonderfully intricate thing, and it mirrors Kane in subtle ways. It's never in your face. For instance, as in Kane, the story moves back and forth in time. Here also Mank's story moves back and forth in time. And yes, it does take a little bit of time to get into the movie. But then I remember the first time I watched Kane, it took me a while to get into that film as well. But like in Kane, in Mank 2, once you get in, once you cross that initial adjustment hurdle, you're really hooked. So I said there were two crises of conscience. The second one is about artistic betrayal. Now all artists prey on the people around them for inspiration, right? And one of the people that Mank befriends is Marion Davies, played amazingly by Amanda Seyfried, and she is William Randolph Hearst's mistress. So how do you pull down a man in a story, in a screenplay, and yet try to keep your friendship with his mistress okay, because you're writing about her also, though Mank insists that the woman in the movie is actually not the woman who's his friend. So all this is great, right? The one thing that I wished had been explored better is the relationship between Mank and Welles, because this is one of the greatest movies of all time, and the question of who authored it has always existed. So I thought there would be some kind of insight into the Welles-Mank collaboration, but Welles comes across almost like a character in the wings, a side character who whispers occasional instructions to Mank, but then it's almost like Mank just wrote the whole thing and the movie magically made itself with very little contributions from the director. So at least that's the impression you're left with, and I'm not quite sure that's right. But then again, Mank isn't about the entirety of man's life, because Mank himself says that in 2 hours you can barely capture a man's essence. All you can do is present an impression of the man's life. And Gary Oldman is fantastic. He gives us a great impression of Mank. My favorite passage from the film comes when Mank is beating himself up because the words don't sing. He's saying the words don't sing, and the secretary is like, don't make so much of a fuss, okay, because this is not an opera you're writing. But then he says, I am writing an opera. And this line has two meanings, right? Because one, in Citizen Kane, there is an actual opera where Kane's girlfriend mistress actually sings on stage. So he's writing that. But if you remember Kane, the visual grandeur and everything, it's almost an operatic visual film. So there's also a sense of that opera having happened in Mank's mind. And what I left the feeling with David Fincher's deeply evocative film is that we know the opera, we know Kane, and we now finally have in front of us the libretto. If you like this video, do subscribe to Film Companion and do visit our website www.filmcompanion.in.